What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another Tottenham update. Going to go into the last 24 hours of Tottenham news. Not much is going on, but there are a lot of rumours flying around. But first and foremost, welcome to Mr. Brian Daigle. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing very good, brother. I hope you are well as well.
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. What could ruin a lovely Saturday afternoon? Who knows, mate?
We are Tottenham TV update. Who knows? Who knows?
In terms of some confirmed reports and some confirmed stuff that's going on, obviously some players have started to filter back through to Hotspur way. So it's good to see that. So quite a lot of players, I think 15 players have been seen today. There might be more, there might be less. Well, they can't be less, but there might be more. Pedro Porro was seen just before the weekend in the gym at Hotspur Way. Vicario, Kinski, Austin, Keeley, Spence, Dragashin, Abbott, Donnelly, Bergval, Kulusevski, Solanke, Scarlett, Lancashire, Valise, Brian Hill, and Yang Min Hyuk all been seen at Hotspur Way today. So starting to filter through now.
They are. I'm wondering what day the new players come in. I'm wondering, what is it, tomorrow or Monday? Who knows? But yeah, it's good to finally have them back, and Frank can assess them now. And it's good that pre-season is up and running, which means we're closer to getting going in the season.
Yeah, talking of new players, we do actually have a new player in Takai, and I believe he's played his last game for Yokohama today. So I don't know if he's played it or he's going to play it, but I believe that is going on today.
He's played it. There's pictures going up. They did a massive send off with him with in Japanese was written to dare is to do.
Really, that's nice.
Yeah, there's been loads of things. He got like a standing ovation, heroes. I would say welcome, but heroes send off. And he is the biggest signing in Japanese football history, isn't he? So it's a big move for the Japanese player and for Japanese football.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, he's a player that, I didn't know much about him before the reports of him coming in and after he was signed, but he does look like a real talent, doesn't he?
He does. Listen, he does. And I think a lot of this we've got to look at. We've signed a player from the J League. And obviously a lot of people and Spurs fans, unless you're from that part of the world, might not know much about the J League. People didn't know a lot about Bissouma, did they? They didn't know a lot about Endo at Liverpool. There are other players to mention. I think it's the timing of the signing that got everyone going, and obviously it's a position we're stacked in, especially with Vuskovic and Phillips. We've been saying, or Ange said, we needed experience. This isn't experience, but I do understand the signing.
Yeah. Yeah, look, we just need a big signing to come through. We really do. And in terms of the other players, when they're going to start filtering back, I believe the players that have been heavily involved in internationals are going to have a couple more weeks off. So when Romero filters through, that's going to be some sort of big story. But we'll see what happens when that does happen. But in terms of transfer rumours and transfer stories, we're going to start off talking about Son Heung-min. So we heard a couple of days ago that LAFC had been in talks with Spurs. Then we heard that deal's dead and he's got no interest in going to LA right now, and he's favouring to stay at Tottenham Hotspur. However, Tom Barkley says today that Son does remain open to leaving Tottenham this summer. He is unlikely to join LAFC during the transfer window, despite interest from the MLS side in making him a marquee signing for the MLS. So I guess where it stands with Sonny is that he still feels that he can do big stuff in Europe, and if a big club out in Europe come along for him, then he'll seriously consider that.
He's waiting for Toronto FC to come in. He's waiting for Toronto. He's waiting for the big MLS club to come in. No, yeah, I agree with you, and I've actually agreed with you that I think if he does stay in the Thomas Frank system, where he'll be playing more centrally as opposed to out wide, he could have a dynamite swan song season if this was to be his last. So I am of the thought process that if Sonny wants to stay, then he feels he has something to offer, and in a different system, he could offer a lot. But if Sonny has said, I want a new challenge, then Spurs should grant his wish and let him go on to pastures new. I think it's a win-win, isn't it? Either he goes and we get a sizable fee for him, or he stays and obviously he offers us a lot more playing more centrally.
The thing is with Sonny, I don't think it's possible for Spurs to bring in someone of his quality through the door. And like I said, like you mentioned, I feel like he can have a real massive impact in this Frank system next season. I think you can see him getting back to maybe not his best, but you can see him getting a hell of a lot of goal contributions and making a major impact in the season. How do you feel about what Ali Gold was saying yesterday, that it could be like a Hugo Lloris situation where we keep him until January and then he leaves in January?
Maybe that's an option. I mean, at least if he does that, we will get to say a proper goodbye to him, unlike we did with Kane or anything, and we'll get to see what he can offer in a Thomas Frank system. But then if we do, either way, I think the way you got to look at it, if he goes this window, Spurs have time, whether we believe the club will go ahead and find a suitable replacement for him, they have the time to do this. In January, obviously, it's a difficult window to get players done. So that could be a negative in letting him go in January. But we let Lloris go in January. Vicario was here, wasn't he? So there was a help to that, but we shall see.
I just think if there is a possibility of him staying, I think we need to move everything to try get him to stay, because I think it just kind of have a major impact on our season. I really believe that. And when you're looking at, you know, he is the club captain, whatever you want to say about if you think he should be and whether you think he's a good leader or not. I do think he's a good leader, and I think he represents some of the only bit of leadership we have in the squad. So I think even on that aspect, you know, it's good. We need to keep him around, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. I think this should all be on Sonny's terms. Like it was, I'll give an example. Riyad Mahrez, Manchester City, when he finally left, he was Man City were like, right, you've helped us win everything. Now's your time to go. Obviously, Sonny has got the trophy over the line for us. So I think this should all be on Sonny's terms. And when he says it's time, it's time. I know a lot of fans will say he's past his best. It's time to go now on a high. Which you can agree with to a certain extent, but I do think playing more centrally, he will offer a lot more than he has done in the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, no, I agree with that in terms of it's on his terms. It should be only on his terms at this moment in time after what he's delivered to the football club. Let's move on and let's talk about Richarlison, as there's an update from Sky Sports, Lyle Thomas, and he says Richarlison would prefer to stay at Spurs and fight for his place, and Thomas Frank will assess him during the pre-season. Amongst Richarlison's priorities is to ensure that he is a regular Brazil number 9 ahead of next year's World Cup, and that he needs to play regularly at a high level. If he does become available, Galatasaray would be amongst the number of teams interested in him. Where are you at with the whole Richarlison thing? I'm a massive fan of Richarlison, but in my opinion, I think it is time for him to move on now.
The simple thing for me with it is it's all well and good Richarlison wants to show and prove his and fight for his place, which is commendable. He can't prove his fitness. No matter what we've tried to do, no matter what we've done, when he's brought in his own medical team or whatever, we just cannot keep him fit. When he is fit, he is a threat and he does score goals. But we can't sit around saying, okay, well, he'll score goals when he's fit. He'll score goals when he's able to get on the pitch. We've seen it now for 3 years he's been here now. And for 3 years, we have not been able to keep him fit. Could be an asset when fit, but we don't know how long we can keep him fit.
That's it for me. That's all it comes down to, because like you say, he is an asset when he's fit. He scores goals when he's fit. He's a threat when he's fit. But if you can't keep a player fit consistently throughout the course of the season, he's no help to you. And when we've got games coming thick and fast and high quality games in the Champions League, Premier League, other two domestic cup competitions, if you can't stay fit, we're just a man down and we're just wasting a spot in the squad. That's just the reality.
And also, you got to look at it in the reality that if we do need to sell players to bring in or whatever excuse the club want to use, and we need to cash in, Richarlison is a player that we can get some decent money for. Could be just 20 mil or whatever, but that's 20 mil more than a lot of the players could currently get. So if we want to bring these players in, as Spurs are going, we need to get players out, he is one that will command a fee.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can look at it the other way as well. When you're looking at the medical team at Spurs over the last 3 years, have been an absolute shit show, haven't they? With Frank coming in now and him potentially bringing in his own guys and the regeneration of the medical staff, is there a case to say, because he didn't have these injury problems before he joined Spurs, Everton, he kept fit consistently. So is there a case to say that with a new medical team, Frank's guys, that we can keep him fit?
Well, there is that. I mean, at Everton, he picked up a couple of injuries, but it was never for prolonged periods and massive chunks of the season at a time. But again, it comes to Champions League going into this. Can you depend or run the risk of saying, right, keep Richarlison when you could get him out the door off the wage book and put it towards player X, Y, and Z. I just think it's a bridge too far for Richarlison.
Yeah, I do tend to agree with you, but let us know your thoughts on Richarlison in the comment section below. There's been a report coming out of Italy, Gazzetta Italia, saying Juventus are evaluating the signing of midfielder Yves Bissouma. Levy values the midfielder between 12.9 million to 17.2 million for Yves Bissouma. 1 year left in his deal. Could you see Juventus going for Bissouma?
I hope so. I hope so. But I mean, you look at it. Maybe if they get rid of Douglas Luiz, they see him as the player to replace him. Who knows? But Joe, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? That actually, there's a deal that makes perfect sense. Bissouma plus money, because I think Juventus will want a higher value than Bissouma for. But there is a makeway, isn't there? We're talking about player swap deals, and is there a more perfect one than that?
Well, it depends if Juventus actually want him. Because if they do actually want him, then yes. And you would probably think, like, because Douglas Luiz has barely been able to get a sniff at Juventus. He has had his injury problems as well. So, I mean, you could say maybe Bissouma plus 15, 20 million around that price. And I think that's something that Spurs could do. I mean, it's much better than the bloody Lamella and Brian Hill deal.
Yeah, we'll probably send Luis back out on loan just to complete the set. But yeah, I think there's a Bissouma. We all know in the first 10 games of Ange, he was incredible. But he is so far hit and miss. Brilliant, I have to say, brilliant in the build-up to the Europa League final. And in the Europa League final, I think he was man of the match. But there hasn't been consistency, has there? There just hasn't been. And if we want to bring in a 6 or a midfielder, one of them are going to have to go, and Bissouma's probably the one to get out the door, isn't he? Last year of his contract as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you said. It's always been about consistency with Bissouma. But, you know, casting your mind back to the end of last season in that Europa League run, when we did get him alongside Bentancur in that kind of double pivot sitting, they actually worked really well together, didn't they? Like,
they did.
Whenever they played with each other, I think they both performed really well.
They did, but would you say, I mean, it showed a great deal of a partnership, but will that be able to happen consistently? Again, it comes back to that word, doesn't it? That was what the from Frankfurt onwards, compared to an entire season, can Bissouma stay consistent? And more to the point, will Bissouma sign a contract, or will we even offer him one? And then you've got to start looking at it on that side of the business and saying, will we offer him a contract? And are Spurs going to cash in, or let him wind down his contract, and will he accept one?
I mean, Frank has gone on record before as a Brentford manager and said Spurs have one of the best midfields in the Premier League, and he was alluding to players like Bentancur and Bissouma. So in Frank's eyes, do you think there is a chance he gives him another go?
Well, we look at it as well. Bentancur's contract. What's going on there? Maybe, who knows? Well, I think one of them might be through the door or out the door. Sorry, not through the door, out the door. And it's all around Bentancur's contract, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, both of them going into their last year now. And we've been hearing about this Bentancur contract for so long now, and nothing's been done. So it just remains to be seen what is actually going to happen with Bentancur, what's going to happen with Bissouma. All shall be revealed in the coming weeks and months. But last but not least, let's talk about this Mohamed Kudus situation. So Jacob Steinberg says that West Ham are unimpressed with Tottenham's initial proposal for Kudus. They suggest £50 million plus £5 million in add-ons to be paid over 5 years in early talks. Sources believe that West Ham will do a potential deal for 60 million. So it's actually not that far away. Ex-West Ham employee who's a West Ham ITK says, West Ham are confident that Chelsea will submit an offer to Mohamed Kudus that's better than Tottenham's current bid. It's also hoped that other clubs will join the competition as well. George Bannister says that currently Spurs feel others are ahead of them in the queue for Kudus and aren't willing to be pulled into a bidding war. Simon Phillips says that Chelsea are looking to hijack Tottenham's move for Kudus, that West Ham already rejecting a 50 million bid for the forward. And even Enzo Maresca has been speaking about Mohamed Kudus in his press conference prior to the Club World Cup game. And he said on Mohamed Kudus, he's a West Ham player, so I can't say nothing. The only thing I can say is I know Kudus since Ajax. So, it does all seem to be going one way at the moment. I mean, once an opposition man or once a manager starts mentioning a player in a press conference and talk, I mean, he loosely spoke about him. It does usually end up going one way.
Yep, I'm going to be very careful what I say right now. I'll be very careful. First of all, what a shock! 5 million apart. Who would have thought, Ben, that we'd be 5 million apart? What I'm seeing and the way we excuse what goes on with this football club is getting ridiculous now. And if big clubs are going to come along, why are we wasting time and resources trying to get a deal done that apparently wasn't going to get done because Chelsea are coming in and we were never in the race to begin with? What is the point of doing all this and going through this same bullshit production just to have the same result? And it be accepted. I just don't understand it. It is clear that we want a right winger in the way we're acting in the transfer market. It's clear this has been an important position for Thomas Frank. It's clear who those players have been, and it's clear we've come short in everything once again. What more is there to say?
Yeah, we have heard in over the last 24, 48 hours that West Ham will put a tax on Tottenham. And what pisses me off, right? You got the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, West Ham. None of those clubs like to deal with us, but all of them like to deal with each other. Yeah. The amount of transfers go between West Ham and Arsenal, Chelsea and Arsenal, West Ham and Chelsea. Like, they all do so much business with each other, but none of them want to do business with us. I mean, I don't understand this whole situation.
Very clear. Arsenal won't do our business with us because of who we are and what we are.
I understand
Chelsea won't do business with us because of a certain chairman. West Ham won't do business with us because of a certain chairman. And isn't it amazing? Gareth Bale went to Real Madrid, financed by Arsenal giving them money for Mesut Ozil. And now we have an ex-Spurs academy player in Madueke who joined Chelsea, who is now joining Arsenal to now fund a deal so Chelsea could buy a target from West Ham.
It's like everyone's just working in cahoots against us. I mean, it's absolutely mental. But look, in terms of Mohamed Kudus, I did have a feeling over the past week that it was going to go this way. The longer it was going on, the more interest Arsenal was showing in Madueke, the more likely that this was going to happen. Look, the Madueke and Arsenal thing, I don't even think the clubs have started negotiating a fee yet, but personal terms have been agreed. So it does look that it could be fairly likely a deal to happen. But yeah, I fully expect Kudus to join Chelsea now. I really do. I just can't, like the report said from Bannister, like, we are not going to be pulled into a bidding war with anyone. Whenever any sort of club come in for a player that we're in for that are bigger than us, we're the first ones out the door quicker than you can say go. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
And that's because we won't even put in a realistic bid to be accepted to even get a start on the race. I think Arsenal have taken a player off Chelsea for the last few years, haven't they? Whether it be Jorginho, Havertz,
already.
It's
back to David Lewis. You know, they've done so much business in the past. Even going back to like Ashley Cole. You know what I mean?
Peter Cech, the Jorginho. The names keep tripping off the tongue. We are just isolated. And these things continue to happen. I actually thought, you know what, for one point, I got a glimmer of hope because I thought, you know what, everyone goes on about one of Johan Lang's brilliant things is he stays quiet and everything goes under the radar. And with the quiet the last couple of days, I kind of even gave myself a little belief that maybe Lang has now taken over and the silence might mean things are happening with us and it's just going to get announced. But obviously, stupid me for daydreaming and thinking something like that might be happening. Amazing how we got 40 million for Archie Grays and these youngsters and whatever, and when no one wants to come in. But when the big players come in, there's either no money, no bid, or we get gazumped.
So what is the plan now for that position? What is the plan? Because you're looking at it, the three players that we looked to go for in that position was Semenyo and Mbeumo and Kudus. Kudus looking like he's potentially joining Chelsea now. And Mbeumo, I don't know what's happening, but it looks like he's all set to join Man United. That's one's gone quiet again. Semenyo's done a new contract at Bournemouth, so that one's off the table. We were linked to Eberechi Eze before that. I mean, he looks like he's going to Arsenal. So, I mean, what is the plan with this position now?
Tyler Dibbling.
It will be Dibbling, won't it? It will be.
It'll be Dibbling, or we'll find a way to make Brian Hill our starting right winger. The generational talent. Mate, who knows? I'm done trying to think of this club acting professionally or actually trying to do things as a football club. Remember the famous words, we will use this as a springboard to success.
Now, what about the famous words that says, I want to win the Premier League and the Champions League?
And most importantly, failure is not an option, apart from every player we go for.
Yeah. Oh, God. Anyway, look, that's the coolest news. I don't really expect this one to take another turn after this. Look, the reality is Chelsea are making room in the squad for him. They're going to have more money to play with. West Ham are going to prefer to deal with them than us. So it all points to West Ham, to Mohamed Kudus going to Chelsea now. So
remember, Ben, they've also Chelsea have just got fined for doing irregular stuff, but they're like, okay, we'll pay the fine and we'll just crack on. Yeah, we've got to get in line with FFP, PSR, B&Q, HMV, and all the other three-letter initial things.
MTV, yeah.
Yeah, while the other, especially KVV and KWP and all of them. But hey-ho.
Anyway, let's hope that we can get some concrete transfer information over the next few days. I mean, Frank must be watching this being like, this is an absolute shit show. Because every target that we've been linked with or that we're potentially going for is off the table. But look, there is also a case to say that we are getting a bit over angry because the deals that we have done since Johan Lang has come in always seem to be in the darkness and no links about it. And then suddenly out of nowhere, a player comes through the door, and the kind of protracted transfer rumors that get done all in the open, they never seem to come to Spurs. They always don't seem to work out. So maybe there is something going on in the background with Johan Lang.
I will say that, but what I will ask you with that is, would you say a big player has come through the door quietly like that? Obviously, Bergvall has been a sniff.
Wasn't Solanke like that?
Solanke was rumoured a few weeks beforehand and then obviously got done. But has there been and I'm saying a big player, like a player that we're all saying that we want, like a Kudus or whatever, none of them have been done quietly. But Lang has, well, like you said, Bergvall, the Japanese guy that's just come through, Takai, sorry, I keep getting his name wrong. And other youngsters have been done, even Archie Gray. Brentford was in, bang. Those have been done quietly, but when it comes to the big player, let's hope Johan Lang has some serious moving in the shadows with the big players going on under the radar. And then you and I, and especially me, get to come on and go, my God, I look an idiot. But we're still waiting to see.
Yeah, let's hope so. But look, that is all we have for you today. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Go and subscribe to Tottenham on Tour as well. Big up to Brian.
Big up, Brian.
Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come
on, you Spurs.